In this episode of Sailing 9 Lives, winter is fast approaching and it's time to ready the boat for a few cold months on the hard.
Well, it's haul out day here at the yacht club, so we are going to ready the boat and put her up on land. There she sits, hours away from drying out on land.
It's a beautiful day for a sail, but there's no time for that today. In these last few hours before hauling the boat out for the cold winter rapidly approaching, there's only time to complete a few small tasks.
So one of the first things I need to do actually is mark the hull where the slings can go in the travel lift, and also underneath where the blocks will go that it's going to sit on. So there's the markings and some mung.
The water tank will be drained of fresh water.
I'm going to winterize the boat once it's on land, but the one thing I can do easily right now while it's still sitting here is mostly drain the water tank. Up on the water pump. Drain it out. You see the water from the tank, like being pumped into the sink, is now just being discharged overboard.
And I'll make sure that the seacocks are all closed.
And then the last thing I think I'm going to do is just close the seacocks, which service the head. The discharge for the tank is obviously already closed. This one, the inlet, just turn it. Now it's closed. Lots of activity here as they move around the first few boats to be hauled. Next in line, big cabin cruisers queued up. And our turn is about an hour from now.
And then that's it. Time's up. The boating season is officially over. And it's time to haul out before the river freezes over.
If you hear any loud cracking noises, we have a problem. Should have pulled those rudders.
Once safely blocked up, I give the bottom a quick power wash. Begin the process of winterizing the systems to protect them from the weather to come.
Take care of the water tank. I've already emptied the water tank. A few gallons of marine and RV antifreeze. I'll do it in the head as well. There we go.
So our sails are in decent condition, save for some UV damage to the stitching on the Genoa. I'm going to drop the Genoa and pack it up, and hopefully make some repairs over the winter.
Nope. She's coming down over here. I wonder if I could just do it this way. She's coming down pretty smooth. That's it. That's it. Is there any sort of rule amongst sailors about laying your sails on the ground? Kind of like how you're not supposed to let the American flag touch the ground? Because if there is, I'm breaking it. Sorry. That's it.
As for the mainsail, I should probably remove that as well, but I ended up leaving it in place, sheltered under the winter boat cover. It's a decision I hope I won't regret come spring. I need to address some winterization concerns with the engine. First, the gasoline itself needs to be stabilized, so really my first step here is to drain the fuel from everywhere except the tanks.
Out. Just take it outside here. Put it in the fuel tank. Easy as pie. Handy dandy fuel gauge. Tank. Bottom. And it tells me we are 3/4 full.
Then I can add stabilizer and expect the gas to be usable once spring rolls around.
So 15-gallon tank, 3/4 of that is 11 1/4. Okay. Well, anyway, I need to put in enough fuel stabilizer for 11 1/4 gallons. Easy enough.
The engine needs to be drained of any water in the cooling system. The oil in the lower unit should be changed in case it has any water contamination. And the engine should be internally coated with a good fogging oil.
At this point, what I also want to do is remove these plug wires, pull out the spark plugs, spray some fogging oil in the cylinders. Pop off, obviously. That in there. Give it a little bit of spray. That's it.
Something I've never done before was build a winter cover for a sailboat. Now, powerboats are somewhat easier because they don't have standing rigging in the way. So I mocked up a design in my head and set about building the structure. My ideas here actually worked out fairly well.
This is going to take a while.
And then the final step here was adding the cover itself.
Alright, that's all I got time for. I have to go to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Now, since I was prototyping, I decided to use cheap blue tarps rather than higher grade tarps or even some shrink wrapping.
Of course, it snowed while I was away. The front half of the cover stayed on pretty good. Seems to have shed most of the snow.
My concept for getting around the rigging was actually okay. My execution of the idea was okay. But I kinda realized when I was done that there was a much better way of doing this, even if I decided to use tarps. Oh well. The cover actually held up quite well all winter long. If I have to tent the boat again in the future, I think I'll use my better way then.